Yes, we're live. Thank you so much for being here. We are finally back in person in Canberra. Thank you all. Can we have a round of applause for you? We're back. We're here. Yes. I am so stoked. It's been a long 3 years, and I'm super proud this morning to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting today, the Ngunnawal people, and pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. And I'd like to extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders joining us here today. So, as was introduced, you are here for the session of transforming the public sector by reskilling at scale. It's an incredibly important topic, as I hope to discuss with you today with some wonderful panelists that we have. My name is Zoe Pelbart. I'm a Principal Account Director here at AWS. I'm very passionate about skills and enablement of our customers, and I will be anchoring this session today. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to be talking about the state of skills in our industry, as well as giving you an overview of what a program of enablement can look like. But we'll spend a majority of our time with our wonderful customer executive speakers. They're going to talk to us about what their programs of enablement are, the business cases that went behind them, how they've executed, what the benefits have been, as well as what's next, what's coming up for them. And then we're going to finish with a call to action where we're going to discuss how you and your organisation could look at starting your own reskilling journey as well. So let's jump right in. When it comes to transformative cloud adoption, please feel free to filter through, it's totally not a problem. When it comes to transformative cloud adoption, it's about a lot more than just spinning up a virtual machine or putting an object into an S3 bucket. It's about being able to take full advantage of the cloud to ensure that you are as cost optimized, as efficient, and as secure as possible. Over my past 5 years at AWS, where customers say to me, hey, we're going to go big, we're writing a business case, or we're all in, it's going to be awesome, I always ask, well, how are you going to do it? How are you going to make that happen? Because alongside a business case to move to cloud must also be a business case to have the funding to invest in your people. And that's because the skills gap in Australia is not only growing, the demand for those in market with high quality cloud skills is increasing. And this means that your organisation is competing with every other organisation seeking those same capabilities. So you can no longer rely simply on hiring from market to be able to find those skills. Australia alone requires 6.5 million new digital workers by 2025. That's a 79% increase from 2020. So the problem is pervasive. A 451 research study found that 85% of leaders are reporting workforce shortages. They simply cannot find people in market. And if I look around the room, can you give me a nod and let me know if you're sort of seeing this within your organizations? Yeah, it's everywhere, right? So the skills gap in numbers, over 75% of leaders report the fact that they don't have the skills within their organizations today to be able to deliver business outcomes. And this is in part because of the pandemic, right? It sent every organization all around the world, all at the same time, into digital transformation, whether they were ready for it or not. You needed to deploy services and solutions nearly overnight to take care of your customers and your staff through this uncertain time. And lacking the skills that you need within your organization to do what you need to achieve for business transformation not only leads to stress of the staff trying to deliver those projects, but it can lead to blowout of project timelines, increase of operational costs, as well as decrease in quality. None of these are good things. IDC reports that by this year, 2022, monetary losses because of the IT skills gap will be $775 billion globally. So the problem is huge. But the good thing is, this is being addressed. IT leaders indicate that they do know they need to be doing something about this, with more than half of those respondees indicating that they will be reskilling their staff as a component of how they plan to solve this problem. And it's not just IT leaders that see this as important. Staff want the skills that they need. They want modern skills to be able to do their job well and efficiently and fast. And so beyond just having the skills you need in your organisation to deliver business transformation, by investing in your people, you will also drive staff satisfaction increases, loyalty, and this will help with retention of your best staff. You want to keep them. And there's something to be said for an organisation that invests in its people, developing their capabilities, and giving them high-value, high-impact projects to work on in parallel. It's a recipe for only good things to happen. Now, leading transformation through skills development requires an organisational-wide approach and a programmatic commitment to reskilling capability at scale. You need vocal and visible leadership from senior all the way through executive and management layers. They need to be vocal and visible about the importance of staff doing training. This will then not only ensure that people take up those opportunities, that funding is available, but that they also have the time carved out of their work day to go and do that training as well, which is really, really critical. You need the space and time to go and learn. There's also the importance of cloud fluency, that training in cloud goes beyond just technical people. There's business changes that come with adopting cloud as well. Think about legal, procurement, finance. All of these functions within a business need to evolve what they do and ensure they speak a common language across the whole organisation so that everybody knows what, how, why we're doing this, right? It's really important, that common language. It's really important to build a brand around what you're building as well, somewhere where learning can live, people can identify with, a place where learning is not just delivered, but celebrated and it's successful. This then helps drive sharing of successes, both internally and externally by the business, but staff as well. Again, this helps with the retention, but now also attracting top talent from market, which is, again, scarce, and if you can attract it, that's a great thing if they're coming to you. And it also needs to be inclusive. It's an inclusive culture that's going to support beginners to proficient learners. It's going to break down project silos and team silos so that everyone is operating collaboratively and proficiently and productively together. This will increase transformation, what you can innovate and deliver to your customers, as well as how your business delivers its net new projects. Now, we understand that a program of enablement doesn't just start organisational-wide. It does usually start small and iterate and scales out. It's most often reflective of where your organisation is up to with adopting cloud. So again, you start small, you have a small training program. You get bigger as your cloud adoption matures, so should the robustness of your training program. It might start with something like a learning needs analysis on your technical staff only. Over time, this is then going to evolve to evaluate your whole organisation and the skills that they need, both business and technical. As the organisation starts to develop more value out of the training programs that you're delivering, as well as the adoption of cloud services, building a more holistic training program becomes essential. The business will invest in hiring people to run that program, a holistic program of enablement. And by holistic, what I mean is it goes beyond just formal classroom training to looking at things like hackathons, game days, lunch and learns, labs, everything that can create this incremental learning, not just in classroom opportunities to learn as well. And over time, as you implement it, it's going to be iterated upon and it's going to reflect where your business is and in its maturity of cloud. You'll start factoring in things like machine learning, analytics, IoT, advanced security, automation, things like that. But what it will create is a place where learning lives. Your staff will be passionate, they'll be able to deliver projects more efficiently, and you'll be innovating at pace on behalf of your customers. So with that, enough from me about this. I'd like to bring up some wonderful customers of ours that are doing really incredible things in the reskilling space that we can talk about their journey. So I'm pleased to introduce Joe Cantor from the Australian Public Service Commission. Please come up. Helen Robson from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, Jason Cowie from Curtin University, and Fahud Salini from eHealth New South Wales. So give our panellists a nice welcome. Oh, here we go. Okay. I got through that just in time, guys. I've got lots of time for you all to have a good chit-chat here. So thank you all for being here. You all have really wonderful stories that we're going to talk through today for everyone here. Jason, I wanted to start with you, if I could, please.
Sure.
If you can give us a little overview about what you're doing at Curtin for your staff, but and also indicate to us why Curtin chose to invest and maybe part of the business case that went into the decision to reskill your staff.
So we're on a pretty ambitious journey for digital transformation at Curtin. So we've basically tossed everything out, rebuilding our technology foundations from scratch to deliver what we think is some pretty radical digital services. So that starts with the technology foundations. Partnering with Amazon, I think we realised that we were about to build something radical for us, radical for Amazon. And what we're building is probably what Gartner would rate as the future of cloud for 2025 to 28. We're building that now. So knowing that, we knew we had to invest in the team. The team had a legacy of doing sort of BAU, lights on work. that really doesn't get any value for the organisation. So we worked with Amazon to build a training program called Elevate You. It's founded on the Amazon Skills Builder program. I think we're the first in public sector to do that. So we introduced that to basically drive a whole heap of training, certification across all of our staff, not just the people on the project, but every single person in my team, with a goal to get their skills up, their awareness up of Amazon, drive their certifications, their capabilities, and uplift everybody to the next level. That's phase one. Phase two is to sort of also tie that into a cultural shift around innovation and transformational mindset, because we're not doing BAU, we're driving innovation. So having that thought-provoking and being radical and being bold, or as I call it to the team, falling off a cliff. So it's saying that if we want to build innovation and build something radical and fall off a cliff, it's okay to fail and you're supported, and the support is the training program. We did a massive launch with AWS. I think we had about 200 IT people there. Amazon were all there, top execs from Amazon were there. We launched it. We've got a website, we've got a wall of fame. We have the list of all the people that are on the certification board. We get constant updates on who's done what. We celebrate anyone who's getting certified. And we have a driver that we want everyone certified by the end of the year. And that's the training program we're putting on that, and tie that with our innovation culture and the campfire chats that I run and the town halls that we run. We think that puts a huge focus on the team. And we're investing probably over $1 million.
And what was your training budget before this?
About $25,000.
Amazing.
So
yeah, no, it's a phenomenal investment, and I think what you've talked about before is the fact that your goal is to ensure that your staff have the capability at the point where, after professional services and partners step away from delivering with you, that they can own, run and operate those environments.
Yeah, our projects are done in two phases, build and evolve.
Yep.
So the build phase is done with the partner, and we've thrown the mandate down to our team that they need to be ready to evolve the platform the same way that Amazon would do it during the build phase. So we've gone in with that goal day one, that Amazon are here for a certain time, and then we need everyone to step up in capability, but also in mindset to be the evolutionary drivers of what we're going to build in the future.
Absolutely. And for Hood, that's quite similar to the story at eHealth, right? So you're wanting your staff to have the capability in-house to own, run, operate. Can you talk to us about what led you to convince stakeholders across eHealth that you needed to have a sophisticated program of enablement to support your transformation?
Yeah, Zoe, I guess we started on the same journey, initially very tactically, a couple of apps here and there. And it was, send a couple of engineers to training and bring them back and they could work on the project. A couple of years ago, New South Wales government put a pretty bold strategy out there about cloud first, and put some markers in the sand about 25% of your workload being hosted in public cloud by 2023. So we had to kick off a program of work to refresh all our critical infrastructure within that time period. To hit those markers, we had to actually refresh 15, 20 streams of activity at the same time. We picked up our 10 biggest apps and we decided to migrate them, but just not lift and shift, but optimize on the way through. And rather than training people one at a time, we decided to kick off the digital academies, which basically meant that we could actually put our teams before we actually kick off the projects through the digital academies and the pathways. And we've got within the digital academies, we have not only a cloud stream, but an agile, human-centered design and some of the other facets we're building around cybersecurity and also data and analytics as we speak. But essentially it allows our staff to be able to engage with the academies, go through their pathways, lunch and learns, like you said before, game days, hackathons. So it's more about the experiential learning and the community aspect. So basically allowed us to get everyone trained up before the program. So when we actually started doing the migrations with ProServe, they had the skills and the confidence to learn and actually go toe-to-toe with the ProServe team and actually learn and pick it up and innovate as they were going, but also operated, just like Jason said with Curtin, operated afterwards and keep optimizing that platform. So the business case, I guess, really stood for itself in that we couldn't afford to keep paying consultants and contractors to continue the work. We had to actually be the master of our own destiny. We, in 2021, last year, 630 people went through the academy for the cloud stream alone, which is quite a significant undertaking through COVID and everything else we had to deal with. So that's a pretty good achievement, I think, and it's really uplifting the skill sets.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal achievement. I think it was 630 people that sat through over 1,700 seats of training, meaning most people did more
2 or 3,
than one. Yeah, exactly. So it's an amazing commitment of time as well. Helen, I wanted to pop over to you because we've talked about the importance of both not just technical people getting trained, but also the business people understanding the changes that they need to go through to upskill themselves as well. What does this look like within the ABS, and why do you see that as so important?
Yeah, so we started out a little bit more organically, and we're not up to the level that these guys are up to yet, but we're getting there. And I guess out of that, just start. You've got to start somewhere. So we started organically, but the first couple of projects we were doing with partners, and we needed to know enough to work with the partners. Then we took on things through the census with in-house delivery, and we've had to learn a lot in order to do that. We're continuing to work with ProServe and others to deliver that. But now our business staff are involved as well. This is our platform for innovation and new delivery. We've got a lot of legacy systems, but this is our new platform. So if people want to work in there, they have to learn and they have to understand the new environment. And that includes our business people. We can't be talking at odds with them. They have to understand the differences between operating in the cloud versus on-prem, where to them it was free. You know, they weren't paying additional things when they were doing testing and research. So there's differences in this environment, and we need the business to understand that and to be able to work with us, as well as they're learning new tools as well. So it's not just about our architects and our development staff. The business people write a lot of business code themselves in the ABS. They write a lot of SAS, so they've got to move along to R and Python and other things too. So there's a whole suite of learning that's got to go on, and people have got to all work together. So yeah, but we are getting there.
Amazing, thank you. Joe, I want to move over to Public Service Commission, because obviously there's a recognition nationally that this is an issue. It's not just in education or healthcare or government. It's the public sector in general is experiencing a stretch in skills, and digital profession was stood up to help address that. So I'm hoping you can maybe give us an overview of, or give the audience an overview of what that is, and the reason why it was stood up and what your goals are.
Yeah, happy to. Getting a bit of feedback.
Echoey, yeah.
Sorry. So as a result of the 2019 review of the public service, also known as the THODI review, there was a recommendation made that professional streams should be set up to focus efforts on upskilling the capability of the APS in critical skill areas, or areas where there's an identified skill gap. Notably at the time it was digital data and strategic HR. So the digital profession was set up in April 2020 with a view to focus on not taking over what agencies like Helen are doing to upskill their staff, but to complement those and work alongside those agencies to get a deeper understanding of the digital capability we have across the APS, identify where those digital skill gaps are, and undertake activities to build from the digital literacy level right through to the specialisation, to make sure that we have the skills that we need now and into the future to support a digitally enabled and data-driven services to meet the needs of Australians. And so with the establishment of the profession, our key focus is to look at the whole life cycle of employees in the APS, from attraction, development, retention and deployment of where we need those skills. And so there's a range of activities that we've established under the digital profession, including looking at making sure we have leaders that are able to support and lead the transformation of government with the right skills and attributes. So we participate in recruitment activities. We also have programs aimed at promoting and supporting more women into digital leadership roles because they still are underrepresented. And also things like our executive cloud education cloud program that we partner with AWS and QUT on to make sure that our leaders have the level of understanding, not deep technical skills, but the level of understanding to be able to transform government. In addition to that, we've developed career pathways based on a capability framework model. We're developing digital literacy fluency training across the whole of the APS workforce. We've identified that digital literacy is kind of a core requirement or skill for all APS employees, regardless of their role, to be able to operate in, the digital environment we're in. And so, and in addition to that, we have a range of other accreditation of skills. We work closely with other organisations to deliver targeted training to meet and events to sort of meet those identified areas. And also communities of practice. So we found that people across the APS, we were lacking that connection for digital practitioners to gain insights and learnings from their peers across the APS. So we've created a membership platform that provides those communities of practice to share knowledge and experiences and lessons learned.
Perfect, thank you. And I think that the important message for any public sector employee here is that this is a program that is available to all of you to be taking up at any time, and it absolutely complements the training programs that your organisation might be offering you as well. And it probably also delivers a few different things than what you might get out of like an AWS type training program. So I think that's really amazing to know that that's there. And I know we've talked before about the fact that, reports are indicating to you, or feedback is indicating to you as well, that staff are craving this type of investment. So it's awesome that you're offering this and it's available. I think they can just find you guys online and register for anything upcoming through LinkedIn or the website.
Yep. So we have tiers of memberships from practitioners and also anybody interested in staying connected to the digital profession so that they can get insights and newsletters and etc. The feedback that we've had is people are yearning that learning experience to be able to more effectively operate within their environment and to progress into from those legacy systems and that from on-prem to cloud and etc.
Perfect, thank you. The one thing I think is really important, it's, the people and process side of transformation is, I think, often much harder than just the skills, not the skills, but the tech bit. And so I'm keen to understand how some of your organisations are incentivising people. I know, Jason, you've got a pretty strong opinion on this one. So how is Curtin incentivising its people, or trying to get people to take up the challenge of reskilling?
Look, in public sector, if I was in my commercial enterprise days, I'd just give people money. But you can't do that in public sector. Look, I think for us at Curtin, it's more about giving them a really cool, radical project to work on. Even our Vice Chancellor has made the connection that we're working on the biggest project in probably higher education. We're working with the biggest vendor on the planet, and we're investing a lot of money in certification. And people are going to have my team will have massive career longevity because they will be trained on the biggest skills, the biggest digital services, the biggest environment on the planet. So career longevity is one, but that doesn't resonate for everybody. So the hook, I think, for us is really showing them that we're working on a really cool project that's exciting to build, that no one else is doing, that has a direct impact to our staff, has a direct impact to our students, and they can walk away in 5 years' time and go, we made Curtin a better place, we made our student experience better, we made our staff experience better. So you've got to have that emotional hook, I think, to get them to want to do the training. And then the training that we do through the Elevate You program is directly related to building the platform and delivering that innovation.
Thank you, Helen. I feel like it's been pretty similar for you as well in terms of incentivising people to work on great projects and having these skills.
Yeah, we've got things that people can see the difference they're making for the country, where they are working on programs to help data sharing securely across government, where we're taking all of our surveys and processes and putting them into the cloud. And the census is a lead for us. The marriage law survey, despite the fact it was postal, it had an online part. So there's a lot of, for our troops that were overseas, for instance. So there's a lot of really good things that people can see that we're doing there. And we also need to lift our legacy across. And people in IT, I mean, IT changes all the time. If you're not into learning, why are you in IT? Because it changes all the time. So getting people to be aware of those projects, sharing things, letting them know what the training is, the formal programs that we've got, the ones that are available to them through, we've got like lynda.com, we've got the digital profession, as well as a whole range of ones that we've done with AWS. So we're making those visible. We are getting our projects talked about at forums. We are talking about the training programs at forums. We are encouraging people to do it, and they are taking it up. They are taking it up before we started offering it ourselves. They were already doing it, and now it's much more evident, and the rate is growing rapidly. They want to be involved. They want to do cool stuff. They want to be able to move forward with their careers.
Awesome, thank you. It's fantastic to see each of your organisations investing so much in skills, but we know that budgets are often scarce, so to invest in training. So what do you determine are the measures of success that your organisations are trying to achieve through these programs of investment? Helen, I might come straight back to you about that one.
So I don't think we've got any particular success measures yet. I was looking at your, the progression up the maturity stack before, and I think we're approaching the strategic. We're somewhere in there. We're doing bits of the optimizing one. So measuring, I think, was in the top one. So I think we'll still need to work on that. We now know how many people are doing programs and where they're at. We haven't yet really been able to measure the effectiveness of that very clearly, and I think that'll be our next step. Like, how do you tell the level of learning people are doing is translating into productivity and speed of delivery is a tough one, and we're going to have to keep working on that one for a little while yet, but we are thinking of all of those things as we go along.
Jason, I know you've got quite a clear
Yes.
perspective on this one.
Well, we have. It keeps changing, but we came up with a new term, I think, last week called BDV, which is black dot velocity. So for our perspective, it's the amount of money training. We're not going to put a personal KPI on people. I think that's unreasonable, and that puts too much pressure on the staff. For us, it's about the speed of innovation. So when we produce our roadmaps to the business, all of the roadmaps for our platform are all integrated, and then what is the innovation that we're delivering to the business? So that's number one. We call that black dot velocity. As Amazon roll off, we expect that to be very low. As the team ramp up their skills, we would hope that we start seeing that ramp up, and every quarter we get more and more black dots, which is basically a deliverable to the business that we've launched. If that increases, then we've had the capability up with. That's part one. Part two is, of all of those black dots, what is the quantifiable value to every stakeholder, and what is the impact to the university that it's had? And if we can quantify those two, we believe we've shown that the capability has been justified. Because getting a university or any organisation to spend millions on training is unheard of. So, and you can't say that this is what you will get, because you don't know how people are going to adopt it. Are they going to participate in it? Are they going to comprehend it? It's more about, if you invest in this, can you evolve the platform or the technology to then deliver business value? And that's how we're approaching it.
Phenomenal. And beyond, I guess, identifying what success measures are, realising the success is also the next step to that. So I know for Hood and Joe, your programs are a little bit further along, and you've started to see some of the impacts of that. So for Hood, I'm keen to understand from your side, like, what have been the benefits of the Digital Academy that you've seen, and how have staff received these new skills, and what are they doing with them?
Zoe, I guess across the entire academy, we've had 2,600 odd people attend a course or two, so about 5,000 odd seatings, 4,600, 700. It keeps going up, so I'm safe to say 5,000 today. So we've had 5,000 interactions in terms of some sort of learning across that. Obviously, probably about half of that is the cloud component. So we did a survey of the staff that had actually gone through the academies, and 78% of them responded back saying that they actually managed to apply that learning to a piece of work they were doing at the time or just in the near future at work. 81% of them said they managed to deliver the work faster and more confident. That's really important, the confidence piece. And 71% said it had actually an improvement on their career goals or career capabilities and where they wanted to do with their career. And that's all great, fancy stats, but at Summit in Sydney, the keynote was about to start, and I was standing there, and one of the pharmacists that works for us comes up to me and goes, "Hey, forward." I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "I've just been competing in deep racer, and I'm number 4 at the moment, and I'm going to the finals." And he goes, "6 months ago, I didn't know what cloud was. I went through the academies, I learned the skills," and he put himself out there. And I think he's gone through to the next round. So that's really the value you get as an exec, right? When somebody in your team that had no idea about cloud actually picks it up and does something with it, and that's really, really inspiring. So they're the value pieces that we've got out of it.
Yeah.
And it is paying back in dividends at the moment.
It's important to creating that safe space for learning to exist, where like a pharmacist can go and learn machine learning and do something with that, and use it in his role, but also to have fun as well.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's a big part of the learning. Joe, I'm keen to understand some of the outcomes of the training that you've been delivering through Digital Profession.
Yeah, so we've seen quite an exponential increase in the participation in the training offerings that we've actually been putting out. We've had, even since March, we've had roughly 1,800 people sign up to different training programs. And even the cloud program that we're running with AWS, we've had 1,200 people sign up to participate in. So we're getting more and more traction. But with how we assess the impact, because we need to know that what we're doing is making a difference and achieving the impact that we're trying to achieve. And so we're looking at it from a qualitative and a quantitative point of view. So participation in training programs, surveys of people in an immediate sense of, are they able to apply what they've learned, and etc. So similar to Farood, we've had 87% of our participants say that what they've learnt, they've been able to effectively go back and apply in their agencies. But then on the longitudinal side, we're also looking at the development of a measurement framework that measures the impact over time from a long-term perspective of where we're seeing current gaps in our ability to fill roles with those critical skills, and then sort of how the impact of all of our programs, as well as the programs run by agencies, have that long-term impact. Ultimately, if we do our jobs right, digital kind of becomes part of the DNA of the public service, and we sort of make ourselves redundant, and we're no longer needed to focus that heavy effort and targeting on that, but we actually need that measurement to be able to understand how we've gone from our baseline and that we've achieved that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Macro and micro measurements can be really important to measure and track this. Amazing. So we're down to our second last question. This one's going to be a quick round robin from each of you. What I think would be really helpful is to understand, looking back from where you are now, because you're all a few years in, what would you do differently? What would be that one thing that if you were to leave the audience with, what would you change in what you've done or do faster or differently today?
Me?
If you were to start again, yes.
Look, the tech stuff's easy comparatively. As you said, it's still hard, but it's easier in comparison. I think I would have probably started look, there's the technology, but then there's the training, but also the operating model side of things and how we do things. Would have brought all those together earlier. Probably looking forward also, we're looking to bring in some more certifications there. Probably would have brought that in earlier to give people some clear goals about completing the pathways and being certified in that, similar to what Jason has mentioned around their certification walls and things like that. Hall of Shame, did you say? No, Hall of Fame. So it probably would have focused more around some of those goal settings and also bringing it together earlier to make sure that we're ready for when things go live and we're going to operate them quicker.
Perfect. Thank you. Jason?
I think we just would have started much earlier. I think we really only kicked off the formal training program when the business case was approved and we launched it. We should have started much earlier, and we should have also tied in innovation cultural training into it at the same time. So the technical training, people will either jump on or they won't. Having an innovation mindset is radically different and hard for a lot of IT people. So we would have done those two things probably 6-12 months earlier to ramp up.
Thank you. Helen?
Yeah, similar, start early, and of course you can't go back, so start. And create sandpit environments and places where people can go and learn and try and start to understand. And the thing that we really would have done. It's not just the people directly in the projects, because you always need a flow of people coming through. So to start to build that broader skill set and reduce, I guess, not really fear, but hesitancy about new things, so that people have gained some skills and are prepared to have a go, much like your pharmacy guy. So just create the environment, start early and give them the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Jo?
Mine's a bit more holistic. I would have created a crystal ball. Realistically, I don't think there's anything I'd say we'd necessarily do differently, because we were responding to the need that was identified at the time. But in hindsight, if we could have predicted the growth and the exponential trajectory of technology change, and that as a result of COVID and other events globally and domestically, we would have focused efforts a lot sooner, but, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I think the only thing I'd say on that is the flip side of it is COVID and what we've experienced over the last few years has given us that platform to rapidly move forward where, we tended to sort of go a lot slower and stagnate in some things. And so it's forced that advancement that we would not necessarily, not for sure, but not necessarily have had that same push.
Yeah, absolutely. And last question, Jason, you're on the hot seat. As a university, it's incredibly important that students are coming out of their education with modern and digital technology skills. So where do you see your place as a university in helping ensure that they're coming out industry ready?
Sure. Look, I think digital literacy is critical. You've heard a lot of the panel talk about being able to prepare digital literacy. So for us, I think our role in IT is to produce the tools, and Helen mentioned about the sandboxes and the environments that we can give to the faculties to expose the students and staff to technologies they've never used, AI, machine learning, decision modelling, a whole raft of things that are going to be critical for future leaders. Data is the new oil, as they keep saying. So I think our job is to give those tools that allow people to experiment and play differently so that they come out with a high digital literacy on analysis and decision making. Most of the kids coming into universities today are probably more digitally literate than a lot of our staff. They're the Instagram generation, the TikTok generation. So being aware of digital is not a problem. It's how do you give them exposure to the business value activities, which is decision modelling and decision making. So if we give them the right tools and they can play with it and they don't break anything, they'll play along.
Absolutely. A round of applause for our wonderful panel. Thank you. I'll let you guys go. Sit back now. Yeah, good. So just to wrap up, a little bit of a call to action. How can we help you and your organisation start your reskilling journey? So our training and certification team can really help you with this. We have a guild program which both eHealth, Curtin and I believe AWS have been going through, where we help you sort of define what your program can look like. We help with learning needs analysis, getting executive alignment on what your success criteria is for your organisation. Then we help you develop and establish a plan to move forward. We also help you with branding. We help you create that place for learning to live and help you identify champions. These are people all through your organisation that are going to help lead your business into this reskilling journey. These are not just technical people. These are people that are just passionate, exciting, happy to get involved and help others come on this journey. We will have a launch party. We will help you acquire the skills and basically we will leave you better for this engagement, capable of running your own program of enablement at scale. This is a little bit busy, but this is what I talked about, holistic, both formal and informal. It's important that you've got both your classroom training as well as, small, bite-sized, fun, competitive type engagements that are offered all through your AWS account team and our training and cert team. I want to just also flag quickly that we celebrate. It's really important to celebrate the milestones of your staff and what your organisation has achieved. This should be fun and exciting. This is a really great thing to be doing. Lastly, Skills Builder, free online. You can get started today and do your own learning for yourself and for your organisation and look at the industry recognised certifications available to you today. We do have our training and certification team out in the expo hall. They have a booth. There's a lot more that you can unpack with them. They are wonderful. They are so, so helpful. They work very closely with each of these 4 customers and many others. But again, I want to give a round of applause to our wonderful panel and all of you for joining us today in person. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope this has helped you understand how you can help your organisation transform at scale with reskilling. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the session today. Thank you for joining us. Bye.